So whenever you watch an eyeshadow tutorial, you come across this factor called as blending. Now, what exactly is blending? Okay, so what exactly is blending? Blending is just making sure that your eyeshadows do not have any harsh lines or edges. So when you apply a color, the color has a certain amount of thickness and the edges of the color looks like as if it's not kind of diffused into the skin. So making that color to diffuse very smoothly into the skin is called as a blend. So whenever you watch a tutorial, you don't notice that they're just going to use the brush to go back in front, and it just starts to blend very beautifully and seamlessly into the skin and looks gorgeous. But when you try it out, you just feel that it does not give you the same effect. So we're going to be talking about why exactly that is happening, and I'm going to give you all of my tips and tricks to achieve this. So let's start off. Okay, so rule number one is that you don't apply your eyeshadows way too high above the crease. So imagine it kind of like a bit of product which is sitting around your crease, and once you start blending it out, it's going to start occupying more and more of area because you are moving the color everywhere around. So as you do this process, what it could lead to is that the colors can go and get into the eyebrow area. So make sure you always apply your colors slightly lower than where you're actually expecting it to be. So we're going to start with the first color, and this is my crease. The fold in my eye is the crease. So we're going to apply the color in the outer corner first, and then start taking it into the crease. So once you get that base color on, what we're going to do is use the same pencil brush, go on that edge over here, and I'm just doing a back front motion. While you blend, make sure that you're using very less pressure, and that will help you to get a much better blend. So we're going to use something like a transition shade. So I'm using a medium intensity color, and as you can see, this is still dark for my skin, but it's not as dark as the purple which I applied first. So we're going to take this and start going just above this and blend. Okay, so it looks decently blended, but we still have a harsh line in this place. So what we can do is we can just take a clean blending brush and go on that line. So while you keep blending on that line, the line will start getting diffused. And notice one thing, that you are only blending the line and not the color. So work on the edges of the color and just keep going back in front, and you will be able to blend it out. So let's say that you have been following tip number one and you still feel that it is not blending. It's most likely because of this reason, where you're not applying the right amount of pressure while you're blending. So that is tip number two, which is to use the right amount of pressure and hold your brushes the right way. Now, when you look at a brush, it's got the metal part, which is the ferrule, and it has got the handle part. So whenever you blend, hold your hand a little more far away from the ferrule. That way there wouldn't be too much pressure which you will be applying on your skin. So instead of blending like this, where your brush is literally moving, it isn't moving any product, rather it's just moving the skin. So instead of doing that, try using very, very less pressure and doing this. So when you see this right now, the bristles are not moving. So it's in the skin, and only the product will be blending really well. So as we're speaking about blending, one of the most common things which happens to us is that the eyeshadow starts to get muddy. So the entire eye starts to look like as if it's just one color. So the best way to avoid this is to make sure that you're blending out the edges. Now, let's say that I'm taking a very dark tone, and let's say we're applying it like this. Where exactly are we planning to blend? Instead of blending the color out by making circles on the color, so if you blend the color, only the color is kind of going to get less intense. Rather, it is much more better to blend out this line and the edges of the color. So we're going to use the same brush. Make sure your brush is clean. You can just kind of wipe it on a tissue, and you can just go on this edge of the color and start to blend. So just go back in front on the edges. And another way to do it is to also make very small circles. Now when you make the small circles, remember point number 2. So don't do this where the brush doesn't move, it just sits in the same point. Rather, you should be doing this. So tip number 4 is something which is going to be extremely unique, where you have to use a small brush for blending out your shades. Now, I get it that a lot of times people influence you to use bigger brushes to give you a much more smoother, hazy blend. But what happens is that the color kind of goes everywhere and you don't get something precise. So let's say that I have a patch over here, and what is the most common things that we always do is to use a brush which is as big as this. So look at the area, which is only this thin line which needs to be blended, but this brush pretty much covers that entire dark shade. So if I use this brush and if I just keep going back and front or in circles, it's going to get the dark color literally everywhere, kind of like you're spreading dust in your house, which is only in one place, all over your room. So this is the Bougie Beauty B215, and I think that this brush is super simple to give you a very neat and precise blend without the color going everywhere. So we're going to use this and go exactly on the edge and just do a back and front stroke, or maybe a couple of circles, and you will be able to blend that out. So as you can see, you can still see a trace of that very light beige neutral color here and the purple here. And if I use the bigger brush, the purple will go and eat up all of this space, making the entire eye look like it's just one color. So if you want a good differentiation between colors, I think using a smaller, precise brush to just blend out the edges will make such a big difference. So those were some of my tips and tricks on how to blend out your eyeshadow, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comment section below on which tip was completely new to you and you've been doing it wrong. I would love to help you out with it. Let me know which tip was new to you and you haven't done before and you're going to add it to your makeup routine. I would love to know that down in the comment section below. So give me a big thumbs up and stay tuned for more. Until next time, bye.